Hey guys, this is Joeteck from Joeteck Tips, the CCNA video series. We are on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. We're going to get going here. This is Packet Tracer 2.3.2.5. The further we go along, the less information I'm going to tell you. You're just going to have to remember what it is. As you can clearly see in this implement basic connectivity packet tracer, it has less and less information. Remember in 2.2.3.3, it gave you all the specific commands to do the passwords and all that stuff. So now you should be remembering it. As we go over each of these lessons, less and less information will be given to you, and it just has to be done from memory. However, I do have 2.2.3.3 available, so we can actually go back to it if we need be. So, get back to this. So, now the objectives: perform a basic configuration on S1 and S2, configure the PCs, configure the switch management interface. Now, in the address table above here, you clearly see what all the IP addresses are supposed to be. Since the series has not told you how to set up an IP address yet, in this packet tracer, it will let you know how to do it. So that's, I guess, one of the pluses. So, but the basic stuff that we've learned in the past, it's not going to repeat again and again and again. Do you know how long this document would be if it did? So, background. In this activity, you will first perform basic switch configurations. Then you will implement basic connectivity by configuring IP addressing on switches and PCs. When the IP addressing configuration is complete, you will use various show commands to verify configurations and use the ping command to verify basic connectivity between devices. As you can clearly see here, this is very similar to the 2.2.3.3 that we did in the last packet tracer. It's the same scenario, except they want us to do different things now, which is typical, which happens all the time. Part 1, perform a basic configuration on S1 and S2. Configure S1 with the host name. So I suspect S1 and S2 will both be the same. So in theory, if you wanted to, what we can do is we could open up this one. We go to the CLI for number 1 and number 2. So this is S2. So let's see, enable config t hostname S2. And we go to this one here. All right, so now we have the host names are done on the switches. See, I like to do, I don't know, I'm we should be like zipping through these things now, you know? I mean, this is the fourth episode. I've only done 3, but the first one is a little too granular. I believe the first episode is what we originally started with. And let's move right along. So now it's telling us to configure the console and privilege exec mode password. So Cisco for the console password and class for the privilege password. So remember the enable or the line 0. So then we would do, let's do switch 1 first. So then it'll be line console 0 password, and it's asking us to make it Cisco. So Cisco, right? And then we go login, then exit, right? That's the command. I mean, that's the console. So we could just move this over. Let's do this. We have them side by side. So let's do the same thing for this. Line console 0. Password Cisco. Login. Exit. So now we have switch 1 and switch 2 both have the line console password. It's not bad to do it like this, side by side. I think that's pretty cool, right? because we got to do the same thing on both of them anyway, so might as well just do it. So now we're enable, so we go enable password class. Go over here, enable password class. Sorry for the typos. I have the microphone on a boom here, and it tends to get in my. I can't really see the keyboard. I have it like kind of whatever. It doesn't really matter. All right, so we got the passwords for the class are done. So now is verify configuration, password configuration for S1. How can you verify that both passwords work correctly? So we can hit exit out of this and exit again. And we'll do the same for this side. Hit enter, enter. So we both are prompted for password. So this one is Cisco, right? Cisco, and then enable. Gotta spell it right, Joe. Enable, then it prompts with password, so this is class. Then we go here, do the same thing. Enable, and then class. Then we're in. So we're done. So that's how we just verified it. So now it's asking, configure the message of the day, banner. So remember, we had to do that, right? We had to read in the config T, right? Config T. Let's do that for both. Config T. And now we do message of the day. And this is the message. So what we can do is, hey, we'll do it on one, and we're going to copy it from one and move it over to the other. Essentially the same thing. So we're going to do banner, message of the day, and then we want to copy this. And quote, paste, quote, enter. Let's copy this whole thing. Copy, go over here, paste. Done. So now we have the banner for both of those. Save the configuration file to Nvram. Remember how to do that, right? So what we need to do is back up one level, get out of exec mode. Same thing here. Then we go copy. Gotta spell it right, Joe. Running to startup. That's done. Copy. Startup. Whoop, I hit caps. That's done. So we can go down the line here. So we did these. These switches are done. So configure both PCs with IP addresses. We scroll up. We've never done this. So let's just move this over here. Actually, you know what? Let's move that there. Move that there. And PC. We click on it once. Go to desktop. IP configuration. Let's just move this out of the way a little bit so we can see what we're doing. So PC1. We're on PC1, and this is the NIC, so we type in, it's a static IP, so 192.168.1.1. And the mask, subnet mask is 255.255.255.0. So that one's done. Go to PC2 and do the same thing. IP configuration. And that is 192.168.1.2. Same subnet mask. We're good to go with that. So the PCs are done. Let's move this back over. See if we still need to go on the switches, which I think we do because we still have to set up the IP addresses for the switches, which are 253 and 254. So switch 1 is 253 and switch 2 is 254. So we go down here. We did the configuration of the PCs. Now it wants us to test connectivity to the switches. And we know it's not going to work because the switches don't have any IPs yet. So we're not going to attempt to do this. Silly. See what I mean? I mean, when you start getting into it, you'll realize, wait a minute, this ain't going to freaking work. I haven't set the IP addresses for the switches yet. So that's what we're going to do right now. So we go to switch 1. We go to config T. and then we type in exactly what it says there, interface. But remember what we said with the 3 letters, INT tab, VLAN 1, enter. Now, since this is a switch, we have to tell it what VLAN it's going to be on. Fortunately, that this only has 1 VLAN at the moment, so we're going to tell it VLAN 1. But we have to tell it because by default on every Cisco switch, sorry, I shouldn't say every Cisco switch, but majority of every Cisco switches that support VLAN, you have to tell it what VLAN, and VLAN 1 is default, meaning everything sees everything. So everything will be assigned VLAN 1 unless you assign VLAN 2, and then that'll be a different thing. But by default, VLAN 1 is the primary, and it always must be this if you want to have everything see everything. So now we're in the interface. As you see, it says config-if, means interface. And now here we tell the IP address. Okay, spell it right though, Joe. Sorry about that. So 192.168.1.253. And then you also give it the mask, 255.255.255.0. Enter. Now we type in no shutdown, which is so silly, but it means we're actually turning it on. So in other words, don't shut it down. So no shutdown. It's actually turning on the interface. And as you see over here, it says line on has changed to status as up. Status to up. And then we're essentially done with that. So now we assigned an IP address on this switch. So let's do the same on this one. Okay. We're config, so then we type in interface VLAN 1. Then the IP address 192.168.1.254, right? Remember that? 255.255.255.0. Even I make typos, so scroll up just to make sure. 254. And then the subnet mask after that. Same thing, no shut. If you do not do this, it will not turn on the port. So if you wanted to shut it down, you type in just shutdown, and then it'll turn off the port. So no shutdown turns it on. Shutdown turns it off. Kabish? All right, so now we got that done. So verify the IP configuration for S1 and S2. Remember how to do that? I said exit here, exit here. We could go show running config, right? Show running config, and then it'll show us the IP address, which is right here. Interface, VLAN 1, blah, blah, blah. So in theory, we can go to the PC and ping this, which we're going to do in a second just to verify. So let's exit this, and then show running config. Let's just make sure this is done. And this is done, 253, 254. So let's do this. That's 254 over there. Success, 60%. Well, you know what? This packet tracer is a pain in the ass. There we go. Think about it. It's software. It's having trouble communicating with itself. It doesn't make any sense. So anyway, so we obviously can ping from switch to switch. We can also ping from PC to PC or PC. Well, we should be able to ping from PC to PC because we're going through the switch now. So we'll be able to have no trouble whatsoever. All right, so let's continue. Say the configuration on S1 and S2 to Nvram. Remember how to do that, right? Copy running config to startup config. Done. Copy running to startup config. Done, right? Verify network connectivity. So it's asking us to ping IP address. Click PC1, go to the desktop. So we'll do it. We'll close this. We're done with that. So we'll go to PC. And then we'll go to command prompt. Ping 192.168.1.253. There we go. Again, isn't that wacky? You get a reply timed out, which doesn't make any sense. So we are pinging switch number 1. Let's do switch number 2. It's going to fail because that's how it is. It's so stupid. Come on. Reply. There we go. Oh, makes you always double, second guess yourself. Why is it request timed out? It doesn't make any sense. So we're going to go to, so what is it? IP1 is PC1, which is what we're on, and PC2. So we want to ping PC2 now. So let's see if we can actually go through the switch and say, hey, see, look at that. Now we have full connectivity. Everything's working. So that is that. We obviously know that we can ping everything, because if one can ping all 3, pretty much everything can ping everything else as well. So this concludes 2.3.2.5. Hope you enjoyed it. It's relatively straightforward. It's remembering what we did in the past, and as we go further and further through these lessons, you'll know more and more from the past, and hopefully you can, again, remember what I said to do? If you don't remember this, I would copy and paste this and put it in another document just in case, because as you go through lessons from this one to the next one, you're going to learn newer things throughout the each lesson. So this is new. You just learned how to program an interface on the switch for the IP address. So this is something I would probably copy and put in another document, unless you feel like opening up this particular packet tracer again to look at it. But this would probably be a good idea to do, just so you have it. I did it, and it's nothing wrong with having a document, and you can review it when it's not on the computer. You have a piece of paper, you could print it. So anyway, this concludes 2.3.2.5. This is Joeteck Tips, learning, implement basic connectivity. Thank you, and we'll see you on the next tutorial. We'll see you next time.